Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the One Track Mind Zorn. A very, very beautiful knife. I love that texture pattern there. This was up, this dropped here, I think somewhat recently, and this current batch at the moment is sold out, but it doesn't, it's not going to surprise me at all if he does a V2 or another batch of these. They were very, very popular, so I'm still going to link this, the original listing, down in the description so you guys can go to the website and check out all the different variations, and you know, be ready for the next one, because this is a really, really cool knife. Thank you to One Track Mind for sending this in for me to take a look at. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and get some measurements here real quick. The overall length of the Zorn is coming in at 7.5 inches. Blade length is coming in at 3.35, and cutting edge is coming in at about 3 1/8. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. Up against my own full-size Excalibur and the small-size Excalibur, it is very, very similar in overall length to my smaller Excalibur, which comes in at just like a hair over 7 1/4. I never realized that. I always thought my Excalibur was exactly 7 1/4. It's probably the way that I'm holding the tape measure every time I measure this thing. But anyways, this guy is very similar to the small size Excalibur. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Also very similar in size to the Spyderco Para 3. And finally, we'll put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. How is the action on this knife? The action is very, very good. And by the way, this is the OEM for this knife is Riot. So we have a front flipper, and we also have the opening hole, which there's just enough room to get in there to deploy it. It's a little more tricky to do it from the front, but to get your finger there in the back, how do I mean, like, what is the right... What's the right dialogue, right? Doing the reverse flick. There's just enough room. So it's nice. What I really like is the way that he has nested the lock bar, and the milling allows for the lock bar to seat very nicely. That's visually, that's very nice, the way that that seats in there. It also makes it very, very accessible. I like that a lot. Wish it was titanium. We'll come back to that. But I do like the engagement there. I think that's really, really nice. So the action's very good. The pivot action is awesome. It absolutely feels like a Riot product. Very high quality. Let's go ahead and do carry profile thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's actually a little bit thinner, and it is ever so slightly contoured, which is cool. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This is a beautifully compact knife. It is a joy to carry. It is such a perfect pocket knife sized pocket knife. Does that make, I mean, I think for a lot of people, the average size, like for the average person, the average size of a pocket knife is actually smaller than this. For the average pocket knife enthusiast that is watching content like this is about the most pocket knife sized pocket knife that is ever pocket knifed. I mean, that's this sort of mid 7-inch zone. That's kind of where most people are going to land on, you know, what's a normal size pocket knife, right? I always say 8 inches is full size, and then you get up into like you know, in the higher 8s, you'd call that large, and then XL kind of begins at like 9 inches plus, right? That's the way that I look at it. And then your medium-sized knives are, you know, anywhere from 7 to 8 inches, and then your small under 7, and your mini knives, I would say, are probably, I don't know, under 6. Is that, am I like, are you guys on the same page as me? That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know why I'm taking time in this upload to explain that to you. That's kind of where I sit. You can tell me what you think down in the comments. We did action. Let's go ahead and do the blade stock thickness, because the calipers are right here, and I will almost certainly lose them. So, blade stock thickness on this guy, we are coming in. Bless you. Don't you fight me today. All right. 115 thousandths, pretty thin. We'll go ahead and do a, well, got the cut test paper from the last review over here. We'll get out my tools and do a hardware check. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel, or the pinned comment. We have a T8 for the pivot. We have a T8 for the body screws, both of these here. And I think even T8 for the pocket clip, which is awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. By the way, this pocket clip is not reversible, but he did offer lefty variations, meaning the lock was on the other side. So that's cool that we got somebody who caters to left-handed people. I think that was that on his IR model. He had a filler tab so he could at least flip the clip over, but he may have offered left-handed models of that as well. But anyways, as long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. And then let's go ahead and weigh it. We are looking at, I believe this is DLC-coated titanium and DLC-coated S90V, which is cool. And by the way, he heat treats Riyadh is heat treating the S90V to 60 to 61, which is awesome. But anyways, the weight on this guy. So we have steel lock bar, and then we have milling for weight reduction, which I don't know if you can see in there. Not fluid ounces. That's not what I want. Here we go. 3.6 ounces. Not bad. 3.7 ounces. Not bad at all for a 3.4-inch blade, and your balance is... The blade is quite a bit smaller than the frame, so your balance is a little ways back, but it's not a heavy knife to begin with, so no big deal. Moving on into the meat and potatoes here. The silhouette of this knife is one that we've seen many times before, but I think the character comes with the milling in the scales here. That is a super cool milling pattern. It's just awesome. I love continuous patterns, sort of, 3D illusion patterns. I think they're awesome. I've seen variations of this before, but never exactly this, and I really, really like it. It's awesome. Whoops, bumped the camera. Also love the ergonomics of this knife. The edges look abrupt, but they're actually knocked down decently well. The texture pattern, by the way, does provide a little bit of traction. Not a ton, but a little bit. Makes me feel a little more confident on the knife. Pocket clip is short and a little tight, but not bad. And in practice, in and out of the pocket, pretty easy. The spine on this is crowned. Now, I do wish that we had extended the jimping at least out to the swedge. We kind of stopped it where its usefulness as front flipper jimping was maxed out. I think we should just still, keep on going down here so that we can utilize it out here, but it's not that bad. And truthfully, because you're not really going to put your finger up here, right? You don't need it much further. I just really like it when it's a little further out. The blade is actually a compound where we have the hollow grind here and the flat out here, and it gets very, very thin in here. 60 to 61 HRC S90V on a super thin hollow ground edge. That is going to slice and slice and slice for a very long time, and it's going to hold that edge. As long as you're not running it into staples or anything like that, you should be all right. It's nice that they gave you a little more thickness out here, because S90V is definitely not what I'd call a tough steel. Swedge up top, and then we have a flat that runs out maybe 75% or so the length of the blade. I love that we've kept all of the billboarding off of the knife, except for this little subtle, you can see that that's his logo right there, but it's so subtle. Really just, left it as knife and didn't put any weird text or anything on it. I like that a lot. Very classy looking in the closed position. Really like that. Very simple back here. We have a nice gear pattern backspacer. No lanyard hole. Nobody cares. I think even the pocket clip appears to be DLC coated. Now, I am, as far as function goes, the lock bar being steel, which it absolutely is. There's no lock bar insert. Functionally, it does not need it. At this price point, though, once we cross over this price point, I just like the lock bars to be titanium and have steel lock bar inserts. That does not give you any specific advantage. It's just, it feels a little more premium, right? It's just a little bit better. It's just the slightly nicer rims, right? For the trim. I mean, this is the one trim up, just give me the nicer rims. Don't give me the LT, give me the SLT rims, right? Or not the SLT rims, give me the Denali rims, or whatever trim up you want to call it, right? That's kind of how I feel about that. And I know that Riyadh can do it because they've done it many, many times. But that is a fairly minor complaint because it's right there at the price threshold where I expect to see that. So if you do another one of these in the future, I would love it if you did a nested type. There's nothing more satisfying. If you're going to do a liner lock, when I get a knife like this and you've done it, you've nested it in here, and then I find out the lock bar's titanium and then it's also got a steel lock bar in it, Man, that makes me so happy to see that. So it would be cool if you did that in the future. Outside of that, though, I really don't have many complaints. Your stop pin's located back here, no shouldering. Obviously, this runs on bearings. Now, your closed position stop pin, it is actually the same thing. And where it connects, I think it's actually up here. Yeah, right. Is it in there? Sorry, this is what always makes my voice sound weird. It looks like it's right there. I think that's far enough away. I mean, look at all the, if it's right here, sorry, my fingers are gross. If it's right here like it looks, that's far enough back that you're going to, I mean, nobody's going to remove that much material on a knife like this unless this is your only knife and you're going to use this knife heavily and resharpen it consistently for like multiple decades. Then maybe, but most people know. So that's very close to the location that we put it on Excalibur, like it's under here, right? But I mean, the amount of material that would need to be removed before that ever even starts to be a problem, right? If you're going to put it there behind the plunge grind, as long as you put it deep enough, it's not an issue. Some people avoid it completely by putting it in a totally different location, but it depends on the configuration of the knife and all the internal working parts. You might be kind of limited on where you can put it. To me, it appears like it connects far enough back that it won't be an issue. There is no blade play, up, down, left, or right. There's no lock stick. There's no pivot lash. Very smooth and consistent. And here Riyad's doing a nice job with action. A nice detent. Nice clicky detent, and it is perfectly centered with no detent lash. The base price of these knives were coming in at $310. Is that fair? I think it's more fair when you look at the DLC versions. I mean, number one, it's Riyad. Riyad makes a really nice knife. This is contoured. It is textured. We have a compound blade. We have all titanium components that should be titanium components, except for the lock bar, which should have been, right? And then you have S90V at 60 to 61. So if you reduce this to it's just titanium and S90V, Artisan Cutlery does that for $200, you're kind of ignoring a whole bunch of really costly elements here, right? Contouring and texturing like this is definitely going to be pricey. Making the blade compound definitely does add price. Nesting the lock bar that way adds a little bit, right? So yeah, we are looking at a tier up from even the $250 range. I think the base version that's not DLC coded probably should have come in like $285, $295. And I do like that the full DLC one is only $330. I think that's pretty fair. These are pretty minor price complaints. And again, we have to remember it's not an in-house Riyadh design. They have to make money, and One Track Mind also has to be paid for his efforts. So that considered, I feel like the price tag is really not bad. I think it's pretty good. I like this one. I really enjoyed carrying it. Super cool knife, very good looking. Love the texture pattern. I think anybody who picked this up probably enjoys it. I think you made a pretty good choice, and you guys should all be watching out for the next batch of these that he will inevitably do. I would be very shocked if he just doesn't bring the Zorn back. I think it'll be awesome. So yeah, really nice knife. I think generally speaking, for people hunting for knives in this territory, this is a recommendable knife and a good design. But obviously, if you are just shopping for knife, well, there's a lot of great stuff that can be found at multiple price points. So very specifically for people shopping in this price tier, I think that this is a good buy. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.